Hi, I'm Femi, and you're in the stream. I know you've heard that saying, you are what you'll eat, but what does that actually mean when we look at food and its connection between culture and identity? We'll be exploring that in some detail today. But first, here's a little appetizer, a little clip from a new series called AJ Eats from Istanbul. Check it out.
In a Turkish kitchen, what would any home cook have?
One is, of course, butter, some from the Aegean side, olive oil, and then pepper paste and tomato paste is something we all have in our kitchens.
Let's go for it. Put me to work.
And we're cooking up Hünkar Bayandi.
It's an old Ottoman dish from 1863. This is called kurutulmuş et, dried meat. Slowly, slowly. We make the dough eat the milk, yeah.
Okay, this show should come with a warning. It may make you hungry. Online, our international audience is sharing so many juicy, tasty pictures.
I am glad that I already ate. So they are sharing their own photos from around the world and showing what makes their national dishes unique. So take a look. Here's a picture of Anjero from Somalia and mango lassi from Pakistan. We're also seeing what makes national dishes so special. And here's a picture of the spices used in Sri Lankan cooking and some Kurdish dumplings that look amazing. And there's also a picture of smorgasbord. Now, that word is used by so many around the world, but as Joachim shares, for him it means sandwich table, which is common during his culture's festive season. Now, as always, we want to hear from you, so keep your tweets and your pictures coming using hashtag AJStream.
Now, joining us from Doha, Al Jazeera journalist Gerald Tan. He's also the host of the Al Jazeera program, AJ Eats. He's a foodie and also food critic. Hi, Gerald. In Istanbul,
hello, thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. In Istanbul, Refika Birgül, who you saw just a little earlier in that clip, she's a food blogger, chef and television personality. And in New York, food blogger Amy Mars. So great to have you all here, everybody. So we're talking about foodies with foodies. Gerald, what makes you different from a regular person, that your connection with food? Why is it so much different with a foodie than from a regular person? Is there a difference?
Well, I don't think there's a difference. In that food, I think, speaks to all of us very differently.
Yeah.
I have my relationship with it. You know, I think I always tell people, for me, it's a bridge. It connects me to my past. It reminds me of where I grew up. I grew up in Malaysia. I started cooking with my mom, my aunts in the kitchens when I was 5 years old. So, you know, when I think of food, it sometimes brings me back to those childhood memories. It's very strong, very visceral. And today, you know, when I think about food, it connects me to my friends and my family. And we used to share meals around the table, right? And it's really important because you deepen your bonds. But nowadays, we're sharing it on the internet, as you know. You know, I always have this saying, camera eats first. The food comes, click, it goes on social media.
You're one of those people. All right. Okay. Listen, see, Gerald, you are pretending to be a regular person, but have a look here. Here we have reviews from around Doha, where Gerald lives. These are food reviews. So Gerald is a food critic. Remember, he's also a journalist. And then we have a website. This is Gerald's website. And then just ahead of our show, he bakes for us as well. This is not the act of a normal person's relationship with food, I would suggest. What's on the table?
You're obsessed. Okay, fine, I'm obsessed with
You're
food.
obsessed, all right. Just come clean. What's out there? What do you have? Show and tell. Pick it up.
Well,
entice us.
Well, you know, I did think, let me just push back the camera a little bit. And
Right.
I am a huge dessert fan. So I made cupcakes and I went a little bit overboard. I'm not quite sure. I like it, but it's a pineapple, coconut, olive oil, and chia seeds. A little bit new age, I think. And then I went for a good old chocolate chip cookie, double chocolate chip, a bit of almond, cranberry. Quite good, actually.
Yeah, if you
And
say so
this-
yourself. Let me just move across to Refika while you eat your tea there. Refika, is there something special about what food does to us, how it makes us obsessed? Because Gerald grew up from a teen in the US, but he's got Malaysian heritage, Malaysian roots. You're in Turkey and you adore food and cooking. What is it about food that makes that connection with us, wherever we happen to live?
It's like a genetic code, how genetic code defines you. In another way, layers and layers of history and different kinds of people coming to one city, a place, bringing their food. Many of the told culture or written it cannot be transferred every day, but food day by day adds on top of each other, and living conditions change, so the food twists and adapts very fast, and it's the only thing that we do at least 3 times a day. Think about maybe hundred times a day.
Yes.
And so we define, so it lives with us, and it's else than our body. It's the thing that we shape, desire, acquire the most, and basically we work for food to eat. So we can
Could I
summarize
jump
it
in
that
for
way.
a
I
second,
think.
Refika?
Jump
If you
in,
don't
my
mind.
friend.
Just because, I think she brings up a really interesting point. Food started out as a necessity. Anyway, it unites us, right? All of us have to eat to live. But for people like me, I kind of live to eat, right? And so how did food go from a function of survival to something bigger, to talking about our culture, to talking about what we aspire in life? Because food can talk about things like social status. It can talk about a sense of community. That's really quite interesting, isn't it? And I think that's what we sought to explore in AJ Eats, how it kind of plays, how food differs for each person, each country, and as a society in general.
And Gerald, I'm actually glad you brought that up, because you just took it a little bit deeper, and that's what Ruwaida here on Twitter is doing. She shared a picture of the dumplings that we saw a little bit earlier, and she says there are some ancient Kurdish foods that have cultural significance that go beyond merely just eating for nourishment. Another person kind of picks up on that theme, and Amy, I'll pose this to you. Mel says her own food reflects her family's journeys. Their dishes are the ones that make her feel the most comforted and connected. Can you relate to that? And do you have experience with foods that kind of connect you to your family?
Yes, of course. So my family are all in China right now, and whenever I miss them, I get homesick. I'll just make some food that they used to make for me, like the braised pork, or dumplings, or some noodles they used to cook for me. That way, we feel like we're still together. We are sharing the meals. And sometimes they will send pictures they have, and then I'll feel the atmosphere that I'm still at home with them. Yeah, these are the pictures. I miss those food.
Talking of pictures, I want to show you some tacos. I'm just going to show you here an Instagram page and then some tacos. North African tacos are an LA ethnic food mashup that actually makes sense. Let me just scroll down here so you can see them and draw. This is the work of Farid Zadi. He's a chef and a restaurateur as well. Farid, it's great to have you here. You're doing something really interesting. So we're taking tacos, which is known as a sort of a Mexican food, and then you're adding a little bit of North African to the mix. Is that what you would say was like pushing the envelope? Are you making a new trend here, perhaps?
The thing here, we really try to change a few things about food in a way that it's very affordable. Everything is fresh. And I do believe that the direction that the food is getting at, okay? People want to change their diet. Of course, here we're talking about the Mediterranean diet, which has been always highly recommended. And I don't know if I'm starting a trend, but I'm definitely starting a little revolution here.
This idea about making a new trend or making new trends, Refika, what are you seeing right now in the world of food, or in your world of food, where you're saying this is new, this is different?
The world is getting crazy on food right now, everywhere around the world, not just Europe, not just Turkey, not just America. Everywhere is now getting crazy from North America, South America. Peru is moving really fast forward, and etc. I think now it's a bit of dust around, but just the things talked about that Jared mentioned, rather than food being an experience on your mouth, as it relates to our family's background, history, the philosophy, I think the next trend is going to be relating all those and having not just but the five senses in play, but everything like more genuinely. I believe if we are able to succeed that, it will change. It's my the last thing. It's my strategy of changing the food, our experience with food. But now it's all. It's a bit of carambol, a bit of mix up right now in the world. But I think the dust will settle, and we'll have incredible fine food in different terms of fine food with our hands.
All right.
I think in 5 years or so.
Malika, what do you have first?
Gerald, one of the things Refika said I thought was interesting was the changing experience with food and her own perspective. So I want to share with you two things. This is from one person who says, organic vegetables and fruits from my own garden in my childhood were imported, shining, fertilized ones, were much more cool than fresh ones, and that's changed. Speaking of change, this is another idea. This is Susan, and she says, politics have changed things in Ireland, where she's seen a rise in shoppers using discount markets, such as Aldi is one of the name brands of those discount markets. And she says, politics and austerity, and people are now turning to humbler and more homemade food. So throughout your travels, Gerald, I know that you have run into people who have had this experience, who've had to turn to homemade food because of a lack of other options. Can you talk about that?
Absolutely. I think, in fact, the episode that's coming up this week, we're in Reykjavik. And one of the the driving factors that brought me to Reykjavik was to explore what happened to the country post-global financial crash. Because we remember, Iceland was the first country to sort of go bust during the global financial crisis of 2008. And it's a very isolated country. It imports about 90% of its food. And when the crash happened and the banking system imploded, no one would accept the krona. So all these restaurants that were relying on imported food, when the whole country was relying on fresh fruits and vegetables from outside, they couldn't get that. And for a short period of time, they were turning to canned foods for the first time in a long, long while. And it sort of forced the chefs there to rethink their strategy. And we spoke to one, Gunnar Carl Gislason, who started a real movement to eat local. And so that kind of raises all kinds of other questions, doesn't it? Because for us, we've almost forgotten where food comes from. For most of us who live in cities, I live above a mall, actually, in Doha. So when I need something, I pop downstairs. In 3 minutes' time, I can get produce from around the world. But really, I don't know where it's come, how many miles it's traveled. And so, around the world, a lot of people are still trying to get back to that now, eating local, going to fresh markets. And I had a great opportunity with Refika when we're in Istanbul. We went on a tour of a local food market, and you really see, she goes, this was grown a few miles down the road, sort of thing. Fish that was caught fresh that morning. It's such a great experience.
I need to out Amy because Amy writes about food, but Amy can't cook.
I can, but
she's not a good cook. But let me show you Amy's food vlog, because it more than makes up the fact that she doesn't cook, because she writes so beautifully about food. I'm just going to scroll down here. This is cold 3 treasure dish with sauce. Look at this.
Oh, it looks good.
And then let me just do this one more here. This is Amy's speciality. She does Chinese steamed fish. She's good at that. See, Amy, when you came to the States and you looked at American Chinese food, you were kind of shocked. Why?
Well, because most Chinese restaurants, especially to-go restaurants, offer like a small like the dishes from only a small region from China. and which I never tasted before. And people were thinking Chinese food is unhealthy, fatty, and very cheap. So that's not my my idea or my opinion of how the real Chinese food is in China.
And what's the difference? How will you know? So if you're not in China and you're going for a Chinese meal, how will you know if it's authentic or not? I suppose my trick is anybody from that region, that original region, eating in the restaurant? If they are, I'm feeling it's probably authentic. But what's your advice?
Well, if you go to the restaurants, avoid going to the fast food like to-go restaurants.
Okay.
And go to like a specialty cuisine restaurants like Sichuan restaurant or Cantonese restaurant. Also look for the size. If the business is open for a while, for many years, probably it cooks authentic Chinese food.
Farid,
Could I also ask you,
Chef
Amy?
Farid, let me just bring in Gerald. So just give me a moment because I'm determined to get Chef Farid's tacos on this show. Chef Farid, are you there?
I'm here.
All right. You are not doing authentic tacos. What is going on? What's going on in your idea about mixing different cuisines from around the world in a taco?
It's actually pretty easy if you consider American tacos.
Yeah.
But if you think long time ago during the Spanish Inquisition, where the Moors were kicked out of Spain, they went pretty much all around the world. Okay?
Yes.
And there is a Arabic or Moorish influence in Latin American cooking.
Yeah, okay, good point.
Okay, on the other hand, everybody has some kind of starch in the world. You take like North Africa, for example, it's going to be couscous or bread. You take Asia, it's rice, right? Take Latin America, taco, tortilla. Just do North African dishes, like as far as vegetable, tagine, and put it on the taco, and there we are.
All right, so basically there's a history to fusion. It's not just something that happened a long time ago, but fusion continues to change and influence our food. Malika, what do you have?
Well, you know, I want to pick up on something that Gerald said a little bit earlier, that cameras eat first. And I've never heard that phrase, but it's true in my own life. So I want to show our audience and you all something on my computer. This is via Instagram. We all know the hashtags food porn. This is a chef who goes by a nomiker of Chef Jacques, who takes normal foods, fast foods, and makes them look like gourmet foods. Here you have a drumstick ice cream cone. Here's a picture of something that most of us know, some of us love. It's off of the McDonald's menu. It's a giant hash brown with pork belly on top. There's nugget sauce, there's cheese. So it doesn't sound that appetizing, but looks amazing. But Gerald, my question to you is, how is it that we see these hashtags become so popular? This has 1,500 likes. What contributes to the rise of foodie culture?
Well, first of all, I think all of us are starting to really, our worlds are opening up, right? And so the more you travel, the more exposed you are to different flavors and to different tastes. And so, you know, when I grew up, it was rice. I had rice in the morning for breakfast, rice for lunch, rice for dinner. And I didn't like rice. I was kind of an atypical child, Chinese child in that sense. And so when I left as a teenager, I had salad for the first time. I thought it was ghastly, actually. I thought, oh my gosh, this is rabbit food. What are they feeding me? These days, I can't live, you know, without salad at least once a day, sort of thing. And so our palates evolve, right? But also, I think people get excited about food because now you just have such a great variety. And so you are encountering different things. And I look at my nieces and my nephews, and the food they eat now, the things they're exposed to now, I found out about like last year, you know, and they're 5 and 6 and asking for, you know, quinoa. And so, and then of course you've got, I think food has sort of become almost like a celebrity thing. You know, you've got the food channel, you've got cooking programs, reality shows.
See, Gerald, I'm really glad you said that because I want to show Refika's, it's probably how you found Refika. I want to show you Refika's blog and website. Have a look here. beautiful photographs. And then I want you to look down here a little bit further. We have the books. Refika has a YouTube channel. I mean, Refika is an industry. Refika, can you just make us a little jealous? Your kitchen is to die for. Give us a little tour of your kitchen.
This kitchen, okay.
Yes,
this is
kind of
my
special.
home, by the way.
Yes.
The kitchen that Jared came is my atelier, which is 130 steps away.
Yes.
But it has a very nice Istanbul view. This house was built 100 years ago by a coffee trader in Istanbul. And for 100 years, the kitchen, I've moved here a year ago, the kitchen was the same. I had few things done.
Refika.
And the guy, like this is the background, and here is the sink. And this sink that now it's wood, but used to be washing the coffee beans. And here is a big, I don't know whether you can see, but this is a huge oven, wood oven.
And there's a well somewhere, isn't there a well? There's a well.
And yes, down here, there's a well.
Okay.
And this well, because there was no water around, they would take the water, wash the coffee beans, and then they cook. Now I cook here, and the whole house is wood.
Yes. I have kitchen. Refika, I have kitchen envy. Meanwhile, back online, what's going on?
I think it's doing the same thing for a lot of people who are watching the show. So this is a tweet we got from Jor Bunkley, who says, these foods give a sense of adventure that comes with trying out new dishes. It gets you out of your comfort zone and it makes you feel alive. So I'm going to show something that gets me out of my comfort zone. I've never tried this, but this was shared by one member from our community. It's haggis. She says it's symbolic of Scottish creativity and our waste not, want not attitude, and it's delicious. I'll show you a picture of what this is.
Stuffed sheep's stomach. What's not to like about that?
With sheep's liver, lungs, a little bit of oatmeal, onion, and seasoning. So we're looking at this. Some people think it's amazing. Amy, has there been a food that you've tried that got you out of your comfort zone?
I actually tried the roast whole lamb.
Okay. Oh, I've got a picture of that here.
Yeah, you got
I must have got it off I think I got it off your food blog. Have a look at this picture. Right, why is that getting you out of your comfort zone? It's just a big lump of lamb.
Because it looks so scary.
Fried scorpion or fried spider, which I know are some regions of China, that's part of their cuisine. Yes. Have you tried those?
That's in southern China, yes, but I never tried it before.
Okay, all right. That's on your bucket food list. In Iceland, Gerald, coming up with the next Iceland show for AJ Eats, there's a really beautiful sequence where you're baking bread in the ground. Do you want to explain very briefly how that happens, and then we'll show the clip?
Well, absolutely. In the olden days, Iceland just does not have a lot of trees. So because of that, you don't get a lot of firewood. So people had to find ways of, heating their food, cooking their food. And so they went up to geysers.
Yeah, and they use the geysers. So I wanted you to show you this. This is rug bread, I believe. Have a look.
Yes.
Þetta búið að baka brauð hér í hólum hér alveg í 80, 90, 100 ár. Hérna bakaði ég mitt brauð, rúgbrauð.
What is inside?
Þetta er brauð. Rúgmjól, hveiti,
it's all steamy out here.
Og lyftiduft, salt, mjólk og vatn.
Okay.
Ég hræri þessu bara svona saman.
Whose recipe is this?
My family and
Your family?
yes.
It's really soft and moist inside.
Have a look here, interactive.aljazeera.com, AJ Eats. You can watch it online and also on Al Jazeera English as well. Let's see what our community have been making of this food competition.
I'll end with this tweet from Ibrahim, who says, he shares a picture of masa from the Hausa culture in Nigeria. He says he loves it and he invites you and I to eat it. It is rice flour and eaten with vegetable soup.
All right, thank you very much to Gerald Tan, Refika Birgül, Amy Ma, the food blogger, and for you for joining in our conversation about food around the world. We really appreciate it. We will continue online at stream.aljazeera.com. Thanks for watching. See you there.